Hello, it is Diane with Diane's BlueHeartsAndButterflies.com. This is another card in the series for the Cheerful Daisies bundle that I am sharing in my August 2023 stamp class. And it is using the Cheerful Daisies bundle, which comes with all the stamps and dice to go with this. This particular card, we're going to be focusing mainly on this die cut piece here. And I cut two of those. I got this idea from Josie Smuck that was shared by Linda Schnabel, I think is how it's pronounced, that I found on Pinterest. It was a really pretty card, and I'm making it using the some of the new products in the 23-24 annual catalog for 2020 for the Stampin' Up. Also in the background, maybe you can see it, I used an embossing folder on this white piece, and it's the time-worn type. It is a 3D embossing folder, which is thicker than the normal ones. So I wanted to share with you how to, or what kind of sandwich of your plates that you need in order to use this. So basically you're going to start with your number 1, which is your base plate. Normally you have the number 2, which is a thin piece. You don't need that with this. So you're going to do 1, then you're going to put your paper inside of your embossing folder, and these are larger, so you do have to use this with the regular sized Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And then you're going to use the number 4, which is the 3D embossing plate. So you'll use this as your sandwich to create those. And all of the measurements for everything is on my blog for this card at www.dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com, and I have links to other videos and projects also over there. So let me just quickly run through what we're going to use for this card. I am using the Wild Wheat. It's a new in color, I believe it is, and this one is 5.5 by 8.5, which is the standard US regular card base, and score it at 4 1/4 in landscape, and then fold that in half. I'm also, because this is a darker cardstock, I am using the basic white on the front as well as on the inside. Both of these are 5 1/4 inch by 4 inch pieces. The one on the front is going to be the one that is embossed with that time-worn type embossing folder. Then I have a piece of Wild Wheat cardstock. This is 4 1/4 by 3 inches. Then this paper I got out of the Fresh as a Daisy paper pack. There's several pieces of paper in here. Some of them are made where you could just cut them apart and use them with your scrapbooking or card fronts or whatever, just on their own. And others have either daisy kind of prints, or it's just kind of a wash, I guess, technique on the backs in different colors. So that is what I used for this, is this one, and this is 4 inches by 2 3/4 inches. Now, as I told my stamp class, if you wanted to, you could use that little 3 stamp, and you could stamp in maybe Daffodil Delight or something, and just add some extra here, but I didn't do that on this particular card. We will do another, I am doing another card that does have that. We will need 2 of those stamped trio of flowers. I cut the stems off on them so that that I wouldn't have to worry about them and where they're going to be placed and everything. So on this one, the way that I did mine was leaving one hole in the background, and then I took the other one and I cut them apart. And then I also used some twine. One piece is, let me see, 10, oh, hold on. 23 inches, and then the other one is about 6. And that's for the other part that we're going to be doing. So let me, and then we have a little strip of white, basic white cardstock that I'm just going to stamp the sentiment on. Hold on just one moment. Okay, so sorry about that. I had an interruption. So let's put this one over here. I've already got one that's kind of sort of prepared to be ready for us. So again, you're gonna fold this base in half, burnish that edge, and then this I've already run it through the embossing folder with that time-worn type, and then I've also already stamped my sentiment. This one I stamped in Daffodil Delight. You could use Wild Wheat if you wish. Get my pieces apart here. And then, like I said, I have cut one apart and left one together. So let's start doing some assembling here. Come on. So let me just do this part real quick. I'm just adhering the designer series paper onto the layer. Now the Stay Fit Sew Plus, the one that I use, it is very strong, it's very permanent, but it's easier for me to get it to stop rolling and break it off. And you just have to be very careful, because it does, sometimes it'll get over the edge and you just fold that back over to the underside, and make sure before you stick it down, because it's really strong. And you're going to create a small border around this piece. Have that part done. Now before I adhere this embossed piece to the base, this is where you're going to want your 23-inch length of your white twine. Again, we're kind of doing that faux technique. Decide kind of where you want that twine to be. You can tell I'm old calling it yarn. So I'm just going to put a little bit back here, and I'm going to start one end on the back, and I'm going to wrap it so that there are 3 strands over here on the front. You don't want to wrap it too tight that it's going to it's going to bend the paper and keep it bent, but you do want to have it kind of tight so that it's not sagging. And I'm just going to pull that back here. I'm going to cut off that little bit of excess, and then we're going to add more of the adhesive. But this is where you have to be really kind of careful with the Seal Plus, or a real strong adhesive, is because once the paper has been embossed, the fibers are kind of broken, so you don't want to push down really hard, because you're adhesive, at least the Seal Plus, may grab it and actually start tearing the back side of the paper. So I'll bring these over here a little bit. Make sure that it's opening on the right side. I've done that a couple of times where I had it wrong. Small border around the edges. Kind of look at that and then place it down. And then I go ahead and take this strand, and you can do it as just a knot or you can do it as a bow. I'll probably cut it too short again to make a decent bow, but we'll try. Okay, I am going to get that twine out again. So much easier to do when it's on the spool, but it's hard when you're trying to measure out for card kits and classes. If you ever are interested in getting any card kits for any of my classes, I do send out invitations through email, so you could contact me through my email. I believe it should be on my blog. If not, it is on my Stampin' Up! Site, which is Diane's Die Cut Divas.stampinup.net, and I can get the message. And I also can you pay for the kit, or you can order on the party, and there's certain dollar limits and everything for the requirement, but then you can go ahead and get the kits too, and then when you watch the videos you can do that, do it along with us. So this one, if you want, you can pop this up with dimensionals and put it over that center part. And get those backings off. And I'm just going to kind of put this over here. If you need to, then you can slide your bow down a little bit. That's kind of the nice part about doing the faux bows, is because then you can kind of move it down and move it over where you need it. And if you want to tie that after you've put this on, that's fine too. And this one has kind of a larger border. So there's that. And then I took and I just adhered, I think I just used some adhesive back here in the middle part. And lay it on here how you want. And the sentiment stamp, it's going to go kind of down here, so if you want to just lay it down here to figure out where you want this. Maybe you want it, I don't think I want it this way. And it could kind of hang over. Oh, that's right. So these, before you do that, and of course I didn't bring my little thing. Let me try to do this. So I forgot a step. The centers on ours, you can take the Daffodil Delight and use the dauber to kind of go over the centers, or what I did, what showed the class, was using the dark Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blend marker, and I used the paintbrush end and just painted kind of the centers. And you can poke the centers out, or you can leave them in, or have a combination, however you want it. And I did this to the back as well as the front, because on the front one are the ones that I'm going to put on the top. I'm going to kind of turn them in different directions. So now that I've got that done, I can stick this down. Come on. Alright, just stick those down. And then take these. Let me get a little piece of other, trying to keep my grid paper on the bottom as clean as possible. I've had used these blends in the classes, and not everybody pays attention when I'm trying to describe using it like a paintbrush instead of a crayon. So this one I'm gonna have to replace, because the brush tip is really kind of messed up. But that's kind of how it goes. So got those, and then I decided to use dimensionals to adhere these, and I'm using minis as well as the regular Stampin' Dimensionals. This one I'll try to do one right here in the middle, covering that center area, and then use a mini in a couple of places around the petals. And this one, mini over here, mini over here. Many on that one. Oh, went over a little. Let back up. And then I have some that you can take your snips and just cut some small strips, or cut the dimensional in half, so that you can have those where they won't show. Yeah, I don't know why I gravitate towards these types of flowers, except that they remind me of home back in West Texas, and these kind of flowers would grow on the roadside, and it was just really fun to have them. My kids would pick the ones that grew around the house, because they are kind of like a weed. So then I take this other one that I'm putting on top, and I can turn it in any direction, give it a little bit more of a 3D effect to be on there. You can have them be right centered over where, just popping it up and making it deeper. You don't have to turn it a different direction if you don't want to. I just kind of gave it a little bit more character. And then peel these backings off. And that one I just kind of shoved it a little bit. So there's that. And then we just need to glue the piece for the inside. If you wished, you could, or desired, you could stamp on this piece before you adhere it inside, so that it is ready to go for a card, or if you want to leave it blank so that you could put something in to personalize it for the person you're going to give to. It's however you want to do. We also have our little strip, and I'm gonna just kind of angle the ends to kind of give it a little bit of a character. So I just kind of cut it at an angle, and then I would like for it to be straight down here, but this part is popped up, so I'm going to put a dimensional on this end, and then I'll just do glue or the adhesive right across there. Pull the backing off, and then adhere that. May need to, oh, it'll work. Just gonna put that right out to where it meets that. There we go. So that is the second in the series, or one of the cards. And if you'd like to have the dimensions again, the measurements, they are on my blog. My blog is at dianesblueheartsandbutterflies.com, and I hope that you enjoy stamping with me and sharing these projects with me. And if you would, or you like these types of things and would like to subscribe to my channel, please do so on the YouTube. And then also, if you'd like to know when I'm uploading another video, you can click the bell icon notification, and it'll let you know when I've uploaded something new. And I would love it if you would share my blog and my posts with others that enjoy the same things that you do. And thank you for your time and for sharing this project with me.